Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. I haven't posted in quite a while, but I decided I kind of want to start doing some reviews, and what better way than to kick off LIGHTFALL. I'm also going to be working on Hogwarts Legacy and Sons of the Forest whenever I get a free chance. Hopefully I can get those out sometime this week. But yeah, let's get right into it. Destiny 2 LIGHTFALL. To put simply, it was a dud. I wasn't too impressed, unfortunately. This review will be a little biased, only my opinions. I'm sure some of you may share those opinions as well. But yeah, I wasn't impressed. As being a player from Destiny 1, back during the beta of D1, back in, what was it, 2013, 2014? Something like that. This story has questioned me for years. The story has been mysterious for years. What is it building up to? What is going to be the payoff? What is going to be the final, what is going to be the Halo 3 moment that just culminates in years of planning and just delivers this insanely epic story finale to just blow our socks off and be like, this is the game that has one of the best stories ever, you know? And unfortunately, LIGHTFALL being the Infinity War to the end game, the chapter 1 to the chapter 2, that's what this was supposed to be, was the part 1 to the part 2. But anyway, let's dive right in. The story. Well, it had great premise. I had high expectations at least. I would assume everybody else would have as well. But man, the execution was extremely mediocre. A couple plot points I kind of want to touch up on that are just absolutely ridiculous in my opinion is the Veil. This has not been built up in any lore to my knowledge. Nobody has ever discussed this prior to this DLC. And all of a sudden, you get thrown into the first mission, which, mind you, you're not even defending Earth. But anyway, the cutscene just plays. It's cool, don't get me wrong. The cutscene was sweet. But afterwards, it just throws you onto one of the Cabal ships and teleports you out of there. And they go to Neptune because Osiris says, they found the Veil. And it's like, what is that? I'm not sure. And they never explain it. They don't explain it through the entire story. It's just, oh, go find the Veil. Well, us as Guardians are like, what? What is that? And they're like, oh, you know what it is. Go find it. And we're like, what is that? No, trust us. You know what it is. Go get it. And we're just like, okay. Sure. From my assumption, I would assume the Veil is some connective paracausal piece for the Traveler and the Pyramid ships. The light and the dark. The thing that plays in between. Something like that. But unfortunately, we don't know. And we probably won't ever know unless they decide to discuss it in an exotic quest or in the season or shit, maybe even by the final shape. We might have to wait that long. Not too sure. But anyway, moving on from that point, which was a huge red flag for me in terms of storytelling and writing, Rohan. Now, the voice actor for Rohan did an amazing job. The character design, between him and Nimbus, I actually thought Rohan was really cool looking. I know not everybody's totally into the cyborg looking design, but I thought it was pretty cool. Nimbus is not nearly as cool as Rohan, though. But Rohan had so much potential to be this badass veteran character who was going to teach you about Neptune and Neomuna and all of its people and its culture and the different things, just all of these spinning discs, you know, he was going to teach us everything. And he discussed with us a couple things. He sent us on 2 errands and then he dies. The build up to his death is so lackluster. He dies and you kind of just laugh. I mean, I'm pretty sure I just laughed whenever he died. I'll even play a clip right here. Or he either dies or it's gonna. I can't.
We can't.
I knew it. He'd die or become evil. Yeah.
What are you doing?
Oh my god, homie just self-destructed. There goes the highest potential character. Later, dude. That was so unimpressive, because the voice actor I thought was really good. Somebody who could actually carry the weight of the character and make him seem very interesting. Just totally underutilized and totally underdeveloped. Moving forward is Nimbus. I'm sorry, I have to follow majority opinion here. I get it. He's a rookie. He's a little cringe. He's antisocial. You know, that in terms of, you know, meeting outsiders from other planets, us, the light bearers from Earth, you know, because this is like the first time they've seen us, apparently. He's so cringe, man. I don't know why they had to write him that way. You can write a character to be a rookie type character and make him interesting and not cringe and bland and boring. And unfortunately, he was all those three. As for Callus, unfortunately, if you guys played the Leviathan raid or any of the seasons in which he is actually referred to or in, like Season of the Haunted, you'd know that he was far better written in the past than he was here. Way more interesting, way more charismatic. Somebody that you were like, okay, he is definitely a bad guy, but he's not goofy, over the top, bland, boring character, in my opinion, yet again. The writing just didn't do him justice this time around, especially since this is the first time we're seeing him in the flesh. I thought that was a major missed opportunity as well. But he wasn't bad. I mean, he wasn't entirely bad. It was just kind of mediocre at best. The Witness. Finally, we're getting some character development with the Witness. Nothing crazy, yet again, mediocre at best. But because he's such a blank slate, they're filling in, you know, how he acts and how he sounds and what his ambitions and goals are and why he's out for the Traveler and stuff. And you're kind of getting a feel for how he treats others. And, you know, that one cutscene where Callus is in a dream, but he makes Callus bleed from his head until he complies with whatever the Witness wants, which is to find the veil. Then Callus wakes up on his throne and he's like, shit. And the witness did that while he was sleeping, which was very, very cool. So he's not afraid to get his hands dirty, which I like to see. I thought that was pretty sweet. In terms of his powers and how they work, and he kind of just flicks his wrist and things happen. That's not really explained here. It might be in the next DLC. Well, I guess we'll just have to see. But he, in terms of the overall Destiny story, he is the most overpowered character I've seen, I think, ever in the Destiny story. So that was pretty cool, I guess. The dynamic between Callus and the Witness was actually pretty good, in my opinion. Those were probably the most interesting cutscenes throughout the DLC. Those were the ones to look forward to. They did a pretty good job with those. Kind of like going back to what I said with the torture scene between the Witness and Callus. That's just a prime example for me, because that was one of the cutscenes that actually made me go, holy shit, like, that was really cool. So yeah, their dynamic was pretty solid, I think. Now, with the stakes as high as they are, and with the build-up to where we're headed, this being like the Infinity War to the end game, kind of like I said earlier, the Vanguard presence is so lackluster, it's not even funny. And even at the end of the campaign DLC, they're just not even... They don't even feel truly concerned. They're just kind of like, oh, the Traveler's gone, which we'll explain here in a second, because I'm not sure how that's even accurate. But they're just not even present. They don't show a whole lot of emotion towards what's happening. The stakes that are there and that are set up just don't really get shown through the Vanguard. It doesn't seem like they care. But maybe that's just me and I wasn't reading them correctly. Zavala's the only one who seems even remotely concerned, but even then it's like he punches the handlebar and he gives you some, who do I put my faith in, what God do I put my faith in now, kind of dialogue at the end. And I thought that was just really lame. There was really nothing there for the Vanguard to do. Same with Earth. There was no repercussions of the pyramid ship's invasion. It was just kind of, they showed up, they circled the Traveler, and then they went inside the Traveler at the end, and that was kind of it. I mean, there was really nothing else to be had there. Nezarek. So this was a boss, or at least I thought was going to be a boss, that was kind of teased throughout the DLC. It was heavily implied that he was going to be a future encounter during the strike, which I must say wasn't very good. It was pretty mediocre as well. I thought the Sparrow section was kind of fun. I don't know why they haven't brought Sparrow Racing League back yet as a community, you know, casual playlist, but they haven't. So missed opportunity there. But that's a whole different discussion. But regardless, the strike wasn't very good, but they did build up this Nezarec character who I got a little intrigued by. And then all of the tormentors you fight, or at least a majority of them, are just straight shiny matte black. And they're like the body of Nezarec, or the imprint of Nezarec, or, these kind of titles, but with Nezarec in the name. So that was kind of interesting to see, because I was kind of curious, like, who is this Nezarec character? And I think it's all building up to Nezarec being the final raid boss. Kind of like how Rolk was built up through the Witch Queen. But I guess time will tell. Also, the ending cutscene. It looked really cool. The idea that they were trying to symbolize and show, I thought was really, simple to understand and very cool. But it still posed a ton of questions, like what is going on? How is he doing this? Why is he doing this? How are they even able to fit all the pyramid ships inside the Traveler? Why does the Witness want to go inside the Traveler? What did the paracausal energy from the Veil do to the Traveler? But I guess time will tell with that one as well. But the cutscene looked cool, but it just piqued more questions. What just happened? How did we lose? How is the Traveler gone? All this stuff. Because Zavala, Ikora, and a majority of the other characters during the final and after the final cutscene are like, oh, we lost. Oh no, we lost. I can't believe we lost last minute. That's insane. And it's just like, but how did we do that exactly? And another thing too is, how is the Traveler gone? It's still sitting above Earth, but it just has a triangle in it now. So I'm not really too sure where they get the implication that it's gone. I don't know. I didn't really understand that. But to touch up on a couple other things, the 80s style action movie Bungie wanted you to feel like you were in. I didn't really feel it, to be honest. But unlike most, I actually thought the montage looked cool. I thought it looked straight out of Karate Kid, which is one of my favorite movies. And I thought it was kind of goofy. There was some character and fun to be had during it. So that was kind of fun. I even said during stream, and if you want to watch me play this on stream, twitch.tv/jumpshotsgo. If you want to come by and drop a follow, feel free. I would much appreciate it. Bro, I'm getting some real Karate Kid energy off this. I'd love to see you in chat and talk live. And maybe we can even go in further discussion about Lightfall. That the 80s style action movie they were going for just didn't land for me. I didn't feel it. However, Strand. Strand was, in my opinion, and I know most might not agree, I actually think it's an awesome subclass. I have really been enjoying it. It's pretty badass. But the grapple gets a little bit buggy here and there, and that's pretty much my only complaint. But it makes you feel like an unstoppable powerhouse. At least the Warlock one does, Broodweaver. But you're able to spawn tons of minions, which is a really satisfying gameplay mechanic in my opinion, though it's nothing too crazy. Overall, I do think it is a very enjoyable subclass. Another thing I'd like to touch up on about Strand is the constant give and take the campaign does with Strand, and that's when it gives it to you, whether it be the overpowered reduced cooldowns or like just the regular version. It would give it to you, you'd have a lot of fun using it, and then it would take it away from you, which bummed me out because I want to play with it, And aside from that, I thought that throughout the campaign, Bungie was saying that they were going to teach us how to use Strand more efficiently and in depth. But unfortunately, I thought it was going to be more about unlocking fragments and giving it to us early, which is how it looked at first, and then became this constant, you have it, you don't, you have it, you don't, and you're learning to master it. So that was kind of a bummer. While we're in the gameplay category of this video, I also do want to talk about the tormentors. I did think that they were actually a really fun new enemy to fight. I'm glad that Bungie is finally creating new enemy AI. I'm tired of fighting the same thing over and over. They gave the Cabal these special devices that are like the darkness machines, and they make slight new encounter and slight new mechanics to Cabal fights, but nothing insane at all. Just one more thing to shoot. Lastly, I think everything was pretty well balanced for the most part when it came to campaign missions and difficulty. I thought for the most part it was pretty solid. There were a couple missions that spiked up about 20 levels way too quick, and it created this artificial difficulty which was just frustrating. but they weren't anything to mark off because I came back at a higher light level, beat the mission, and it played perfectly fine. Neomuna, not much to be said here. It's neat, it's pretty, and it gets the job done. The activities on it are okay. They're not anything we haven't seen before. The Imperator, the Callus flagship, absolutely underutilized. I believe only one mission is actually on that ship, which they hyped up to be this crazy huge flagship that is just insanely massive. But we never actually get to see that full scale. We only get really one decent mission inside of it, and that's it. But it does kind of look cool. You know, it's a cool looking flagship, but I mean, that's all that can really be said. You don't really get to explore it or anything, in which I thought you'd be able to. I thought it was going to be part of that patrol, open world. It was going to be kind of like half the open world zone, while Neomuna was like the other half. That's kind of how I thought it was going to go, but unfortunately, They didn't do that at all. So that kind of stunk. And another problem I have with the DLC is the lack of answering questions. Bungie hyped this DLC up and promised that they'd answer a ton, but also provide a ton of new questions, which didn't happen at all. Or at least it happened half-baked. We basically just get left with even more questions. Nothing from the past 10 years or the past 3 specifically, where they're building this DLC up, was answered. Instead, it really just formed new questions, and that was about it. Which kind of sucks, because I feel like we've been getting blue-balled, and I feel like we've just been asking so many questions as time has been progressing, to no avail. Season of Defiance, nothing to talk about too much yet. I have played quite a bit of it, but it's nothing to brag about. It's okay. It's not the worst season we've gotten, that's for sure. But at least the introduction and a good chunk of the starting stuff was decent. But as time progresses, I'm sure it will become even better. I don't question that. Bungie always makes their seasons even better as time progresses, for the most part at least. It's not the first season to have a rough start, especially with the story in its current state and what should be expected from stakes this high, or supposedly this high. Lightfall in comparison to Witch Queen. Witch Queen had great tension. The ramification for the Guardians and Savathun's actions were very well done. The length of the missions, I feel, were a bit better than the Lightfall missions. Some of the Lightfall missions pretty much were on par with the Witch Queen in terms of length. The importance of every mission that the Witch Queen had versus what Lightfall had were just substantially better. It felt like you were working towards a goal, or at least you were advancing the story your own way, rather than just kind of doing something and then moving forward. So yeah, that was kind of another thing too. And the build up to the Rolk raid was really good, so I'm hoping that the Nezarec build up, and he's the final boss of the Lightfall raid. I'm hoping it's pretty on par with that, because I thought that was really well done and a very interesting way to bring in a raid boss. The Witness tease during the Witch Queen and how Savathun's death due to us affects that story moving forward was great setup potential for Lightfall, but unfortunately they just didn't do enough with it here. The Lightfall final cutscene that builds up to the final shape, it just didn't do much yet again. If we knew what the veil was, there'd be way more intensity, there'd be way more ramifications, there'd be way more questions that we could kind of wrap our heads around. But this one felt extremely open-ended. I feel like anything could happen moving forward, unfortunately. But overall, how does this set up the story moving forward? Well, not great at all. They have even more questions to answer, and if this is what we get after 1 year of development time, then I can't imagine absolutely everything from the past 10 years of Destiny as a franchise and the past 3 years of Destiny 2, especially since they have really been building up to this final chapter. I don't believe it can be resolved in a single year of development time for the final shape. But let's hope I'm wrong, and when the time comes, they can pull it all together and make it extremely satisfying. I pray that they do. Overall, Lightfall wasn't that great. The raid still has amazing potential to be if the final boss is Nezarec, and they can really build that up prior to his unveiling. Get it? See what I did there? But anyway, the season no doubt will get better as time progresses. But as a $50 DLC, I highly recommend waiting until it goes on sale, and I wouldn't recommend this to new Destiny players, as they're going to ask even more questions than us veteran Destiny players. There are some great moments to be had. Don't get me wrong. It's not the worst DLC. I still think Shadowkeep was far worse. But it just was mediocre at best. Strand, unlike most opinions, I actually think is very cool. So it's still worth checking out if you want to just play with the new subclass and you care only about gameplay. But that's about it. But unfortunately, that will be the rest of this video. Like I said, I'll be getting that Hogwarts Legacy review and that Sons of the Forest early access review out here pretty soon, just to kind of give my opinions on those, because I've been playing the crap out of them, so I kind of want to, give my take on them. But that'll wrap it up for Lightfall. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please feel free to sub. If not, no big deal. Feel free to go check me out on Twitch. Give me a follow, hop in chat. Let's have a great time. See me play these games live and react to them live and actually give my opinions while I'm playing them fresh. But yeah, that'll wrap it up. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Peace.